What's up guys, what I would do a special little video today. So obviously it is sort of, I should say, well, late November. And I thought I would do a video, this is an important video. I mean it's the end of, coming towards late November. Obviously we go into December on Sunday. This time of the year can be an extremely difficult time of the year for people for so many reasons. Christmas is coming up, and obviously it's hard for those parents. Obviously, you're seeing all of these, toy adverts on the TV, and obviously the kids are seeing all these new toys that are coming out, and they really want them. And parents can't afford to buy it. A lot of parents can't afford to buy it because they just don't have the money to do that. It can be a tough time of year because people are facing the prospect of not seeing any of their family members over the Christmas period. And it can also be hard. It can also be an extremely hard time of the year for those that are living on the streets. Now, obviously, we have many ways of being able to stay warm. This winter with the whole weather coming in, it's important that we all stay warm. We have hot water bottles, we have blankets, duvets. But with the temperatures dropping, it can be extremely dangerous for those that are living on the streets. There has been stories where homeless people have died due to the extremely cold weather conditions. I mean, during the day, it's not so bad, but at night, temperatures plummet, and it becomes extremely cold. And with the winter months drawing ever closer, it's important that we look out for the homeless people and help them to stay warm this winter. Help them in whatever way we can. Give them blankets, give them hot water bottles, give them whatever we can give them to help them stay warm. Whenever I think about the homeless people, it breaks my heart, knowing that there are so many people that are having to sleep rough on the streets, especially at this time of the year where temperatures are starting to drop and it's starting to get really, really cold, especially at night. There's not a single person who doesn't deserve to be warm, to be safe, to be comfortable. That's what everyone deserves, is to be able to sleep, to have a warm, safe, comfortable place to sleep. But that's not something that a lot of homeless people have. They don't have a warm, safe, comfortable place to sleep. And this is a big part of why we have to help. Help them in whatever way we can to stay warm this winter. Whenever I'm out and about during the winter months, I always like to take some blankets with me and give some blankets to the homeless to help them out. I always like to help the homeless. I feel like, they don't, when I see the homeless, so I feel sorry for them because I feel like homeless people really do get judged a lot. People look at them and go, oh, well, homeless people, all homeless people are just drug addicts and alcoholics. But they're not like that, It doesn't matter, whether they're an alcoholic or a drug addict. We've all made mistakes in the past, and a lot of these people that are living on the streets, they've made mistakes in the past, But they don't deserve to be judged on the mistakes that they have made, purely on the mistakes that they have made in the past. I've seen people stopping and staring at the homeless people, and I don't like that. I would love to see more people just stopping and having a conversation with the homeless, because you see it quite often if you give them a small amount of change or you stop to have a conversation with them, even stopping to have a conversation with a homeless person and brighten up a homeless person's day, it can make them so much happier because they know that not everyone has a bad attitude towards the homeless. But sadly, there are so many people out there whose attitude towards the homeless is extremely negative and extremely sad. There are those people out there who just don't care for the homeless and don't feel and feel that the homeless don't deserve any help. They don't deserve any support. They don't, as far as some people are concerned, the homeless have made their own beds, and they should lie in. I feel like sometimes some people see the homeless as lazy so-and-sos who just don't want to work. It's not that they don't want to work. It's just that they can't actually get a job. It's not that easy for a homeless person to get a job. It's not that. How many businesses would hire a homeless person? It's like, all I'm saying is that if you're out and about and you see a homeless person, just, stop and have a little conversation with them or give them a little bit of spare change, whatever you can do to make things easier for them. And especially at this time of year, this is this is a hard time of year for everyone. With Christmas coming up, I've been thinking a lot about, I feel like there's a lot of things that we all take for granted. We can all look forward to having, to spending time with our families at Christmas and opening expensive Christmas presents and, having a good time. But there's a lot of people out there who can't look forward to that or don't have that to look forward to. There's kids out there who don't get to look forward to opening expensive Christmas presents on Christmas Day or, having a proper Christmas dinner. That's something that many kids unfortunately are missing out on because their parents just can't afford it. Because sadly, there are so many families out there that are living on the breadline. And I wish there was a way that we could help those families. Whether that's donating toys and books and things like that to them, just to donate them to charity so that they can then be passed on to, kids that had really used them. I think, obviously it's a hard time of year because there's a lot of elderly people out there who don't get to see their families at Christmas. And that's hard. That's really hard for them. And then obviously you've got the people that are living on the streets. No one ever deserves to be sleeping rough on the streets at Christmas. No one ever deserves to be sleeping rough on the streets at this time of year in general, when when the temperatures are being so cold, it's sad when you think that there are so many people who have served for this country and they are actually having to sleep on the streets in these freezing cold temperatures. They don't, people that have served for our country don't deserve to be sleeping rough on the streets. They're the sort of people that should be given priority housing because that's the least they deserve, considering they've served for our country and they've fought for our country. They shouldn't have to bed down on the streets. They're the people who especially deserve to be given help. It's sad to think that, at this time of the year, there's so many people, sleeping rough on the streets. It's not, at least for us, we can say, we've got our houses, we can put our heating on if we need to. At least we can say that, we've got ways of keeping warm, we've got ways of staying warm. But homeless, that's not something that a lot of homeless people can say. There's not many homeless people out there who can say that they have ways of staying warm in this whole weather. You know, it's this time of year where you see homeless people really starting to get unwell. They can get pneumonia, they can get, you know, anything really. Because, like they're prone to so much. I feel like sleeping on the streets makes you more prone to kind of illnesses and things like that. And pick up illnesses, way more easily than any of us would. As obviously we're not living on the street, so it's not as bad for us. It's not as dangerous for us as we're not having to sleep out on the streets in the freezing cold temperatures like some people, which is what some people are having to do. Yeah, there are homeless shelters out there, but the problem with a lot of the homeless shelters out there is they only really have a limited amount of spaces. They can't fit. They don't have enough room for for the hundreds of and maybe even thousands of homeless people that are sleeping rough on the streets. And sometimes homeless people don't even get into homeless shelters. Because there's such a high demand for them. It's so bad, and I think it's so sad to think about how bad the homeless crisis is here in the UK. Like, it's not just bad in one area of the UK. It's bad, right the way across the UK. Like homelessness is a problem that is really starting to rise, especially with the cost of living crisis. Like homelessness is becoming, sadly, not an uncommon thing. Because people are struggling to pay rent, struggling to pay bills and things like that. And it's that sort of thing that has to have a huge impact, and it very often does. I think the best we can do is show those people that there are people out there that are willing to help them and give them the support that they need. And give them the help that they need to get back on their feet. For some homeless people, they can't do it on their own. Sometimes they need that helping hand. And, the best thing you can do this winter is just, like, with the temperatures even now starting to get really cold, is just make sure that the homeless people are warm, safe, and they have a warm, safe, comfortable place to sleep. Because nobody deserves to not have that. Everybody deserves to have a warm, comfortable, safe place to sleep at night. But there are so many people out there that don't have that. So many people having to bed down in shop doorways and things like that, and back alleys and whatnot, to try, and are struggling to stay warm. As most of the time all they have is a sleeping bag, and it's like, what good is a sleeping bag gonna do when temperatures are getting so cold? It's like a sleeping bag isn't really gonna do any good, I don't think. One thing that really that really irons my wit is when you see, like, police officers and things and whatnot telling homeless people to move on and telling them they can't sit somewhere. Because I would understand if the homeless people were causing trouble and, were basically causing a nuisance. But if they're not doing that, then why should they have to move on? Why should they not be able to sit where they're sitting? If they're not causing trouble, why should they have to move on? It just doesn't make sense. Like, if they were causing trouble and they were causing a nuisance, then fair enough, they should be moved on. They should be told to go somewhere else. But when they're not causing trouble, when they're just minding their own business, they shouldn't be being told to move on. They should be being told to sit somewhere else. Because it's not, it just doesn't seem right to me. And it's one of those things that really does sort of grind my wit a little bit, if you know what I mean. Um, I mean, obviously, I do feel so bad for, those that are having to sleep on the streets, but like in these freezing cold temperatures, I mean, I'm thankful that I have a warm bed to sleep in at night. You know, I feel like sometimes even I can admit that sometimes I take things for granted. And I stop to think, and I stop and I think to myself, well, there are probably so many people out there who would love to have what I have, that would love to have electricity, heating, a warm bed, a roof over their heads, but there's so many people out there who don't have that, and it makes me so much more grateful to have what I have because I know that there are so many people out there that don't have, that don't have that, you know. And when like the problem with the homeless, it's like the reason why I tell people I'm advising people not to judge the homeless is because we could be in that situation that they're in, in years to come. Like, we have what, obviously we have everything we have, but in years to come, that could all be taken away from us and we could be on the streets ourselves. We could be in the position that so many people are in right now. Which is why I would say it's best not to judge those people that are in that sort of situation because it's a situation that we ourselves could be in. We might not be in that situation at the moment, but what's to say that in 3 or 4 years' time we wouldn't end up in it? We might not, we won't end up in that situation. Obviously, it's not. It's a situation I hope I don't. I hope that I don't personally end up in, but you never know what's going to happen. Like, it's a situation where, you never know what's going to happen. Like, life is too unpredictable. But at the end of the day, we should show we need to show the homeless that they're not on the homeless people, that they're not on their own. Because that's the thing with a lot of homeless people is sometimes they feel like they're on their own, like people don't care about them. But they need to know, we need to show them that there are people out there who do care about them and care about, show that there are people out there that are willing to support them and not just, not just judge them, judge them on their past mistakes or, turn their noses up at them like so many people do. It's, it's like when I'm out and about, like, I see so many people just, like, walking past the homeless, like, they don't care. Like, they can't be bothered to give the homeless people, the time of day. Like, they're too busy to, even acknowledge the homeless. Some people don't, and it's like I said earlier in the video, there are, sadly, a lot of people out there who don't care for the homeless. It's as far as some people are concerned, the homeless have made their own mess, and they should they should lie in it basically. It's just a horrible situation, and I feel for anyone that, as I said, I am so grateful to have what I have, and I know that in years, that one day that could all be taken away, and I could lose everything, it could all be taken away from me. And I know that if I was on the streets, I would want to be supported. I'd want to know that there are people out there who are willing to help me. And that's what these homeless people deserve, is to know that there are people out there that are willing to help and support them in whatever way we can, in whatever way they can. Especially with the colder months starting to come in now, they need more help and support than ever because they need help to stay warm. The best thing you can do in the winter months is just go around, take some hot water bottles with you, take some blankets with you or whatever, and just hand them out to the homeless. Help them. It's about helping them to stay warm. That's the most important thing that any of us can do, is help the homeless to stay warm. Because, as I said, no one deserves to be cold, to not be safe, to be uncomfortable. Everyone deserves a safe, a warm, safe, comfortable place to sleep. But so many people don't have that luxury. That's a luxury that a lot of people don't have, unfortunately. I feel, as I said, I do feel sorry for these parents that are living on the breadline. I feel sorry for these kids that, It's they must, they get so excited. It must be hard for, kids that are living, these families that are on the blood line or on the breadline, right? And it must be so excited. It's so hard for these kids for those kids to kind of get excited for Christmas because they don't. The problem is with these families that are living on the breadline, it's like the kids don't really have anything to look forward to this Christmas. Like they don't have, they're not, they don't have a proper Christmas dinner to look forward to, or expensive Christmas presents. We're all gonna be, unwrapping, expensive Christmas presents and eating a proper Christmas dinner. And sometimes I feel like those are things that we all take for granted sometimes. And I think we could do with just kind of taking a step back and thinking about those kids that won't be, that don't have that to look forward to this year, and thinking about how we can help them and how we can make, Christmas that extra a little bit more special for them, and how we can make Christmas that bit, so much better for them. Because I think there are ways that we can make Christmas so much more special for the families that are living on the breadline, They deserve to know that there are people out there who are willing to help them and support them at this time of year. With Christmas coming up, they deserve to know that people are out there willing to help them and support them. It's obviously, it's about, Christmas is not just about giving, it's about getting presents and things like that. It's about helping the people helping the people in need. It's about helping the people who are struggling financially, don't have a warm bed to sleep in, during the winter months. Just doing whatever we can to help those people and support those people in whatever ways possible. As I said, my heart breaks when I think about those people that are in that sort of situation, and I hope that's not a situation I'm ever in, but I don't, it's not like I can say I'll never be in that sort of situation, because you just don't know, as I just don't know. That's not something that any of us can say for certain, is that we'll never be in that situation, because we just don't know that for sure. But, as I said, with the winter months coming in, let's focus on supporting those in need, helping them to, get through these next few months, at least, get through the Christmas period, even those, those people that are not going to have that, there's a lot of old people out there who won't get to see families at Christmas, and some might live in your area. If you know an elderly person who doesn't really see their family, or, especially over the festive period, just knock on their door, invite them in to spend Christmas with you, so they're not on their own. Because no one deserves to be alone at Christmas. No one deserves to not have their family around them at Christmas time. But that's a reality that so many people are facing this year, is not having their families around them at Christmas, and no one ever deserves it. For me, I'm always so thankful that I have my family around me at Christmas, because I can't imagine what it must be like for those people that don't. And hopefully it's not something that will ever become a reality, or that I'd ever have to deal with. And yeah, I think together we can make things easier for those that are living on the streets. We can make things, we can make things a lot less tough for them and a lot less difficult for them, by showing that there are people out there that are willing to support them and are willing to help them in whatever way we can. So let's do it. Let's come together. Let's support the homeless this year. Let's really, really focus on helping those that are less fortunate than ourselves, and showing them that there are people out there willing to support and help. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.